Thank you for staying with us on the news, Joy News Prime. Time now for the sport. We have news from Margaret Simpson. When was the last time you heard from her? Veteran heptathlete, and also Ghanaians seem to want a bout between Isaac Dogbe and Emmanuel the Game Boy Tego, and then we do some foreign tidbits. Thank you for your time. First of all, Margaret Simpson. She's been around forever, but she's still making the country proud. And this weekend, she stole the show in Sekondi at the GAA circuit meeting.
2005 IAAF World Heptathlon bronze medalist Margaret Simpson is 2.14 meters short on qualification for the 2018 CAA Senior Championship in Nigeria after producing 50.3 meters throw to win the women's javelin at the Ghana Athletics Association Circuit Championships held at the Sekondi Sports Stadium last Saturday. Margaret, who holds the national javelin record of 53.36 meters, which she set on 7th August 2005, needs to throw 52.44 meters to secure automatic qualification to the Africa Championship in August. The three-times African heptathlon champion underlined her status as the queen of the combined event in Ghana by producing her season's best throw on her 5th attempt, while 2014 CAA silver medalist Mary Zuta came second with 45.35 meters, and Margaret Trinebois took third place with 44.21 meters. Organized by the GAA in partnership with Just Because Fitness and Bond Savings and Loans, the circuit provided opportunities for home-based athletes to get their season underway and also meet their qualifying standards for the 2018 Commonwealth Games and CAA Senior Championships. The circuit witnessed some fierce rivalries, upset and personal best achievements on the day, with many athletes taking advantage of the competition to open their season.
Sport is driven by commercial success, and commercial success is driven by what you want. Normally, if you say you want a certain outcome in sport, the promoters of the sport do everything possible to make sure it happens. So what happens when Ghanaians seem to want Emmanuel Tego to fight Isaac Dogbe? All this has come about because after this weekend's win by the Game Boy, that's Isaac Dogbe's nickname, against the Argentine Fernando Salcedo, a lot of people started comparing the 31-year-old with its younger compatriot, Isaac Dogbe. We went to the street to get some thought on this.
Yes, I think there should be a match between Dogbe and Tego, and I believe Dogbe can beat Tego. From what I watched, the match between he and the other guy, Dogbe is very good, and I think he can beat Tego.
It would be very interesting to watch the match, but I'm so sure Dogbe is going to win.
I think it will be a nice opportunity to witness another bout. At least practice makes man perfect. So, in my opinion, I think it should come on.
The match between the two will be very interesting, but for me, I support Dogbe. He's the best boxer. I support him.
I think that the fight should come on because, as you know, the weight of Game Boy is higher than that of Isaac. But like Game Boy said, he's ready to reduce the weight so he can match up with Isaac. So let the fight come on. I think it's good for Ghana boxing.
Right, so more views coming up, and it's been all over the place. You know, sometimes they say the news moves from 0 to 100 real quick. Some of them have been going to various radio stations, and all this, we understand, started when Paul Dogbe, the father of Isaac, made a certain declaration, but we'll get to that. Game Boy is not happy that, you know, many of you seem to like Isaac Dogbe more than you like him. So he went to one of the radio stations this morning, and then he said, Dogbe is just a small boy with a lot of hype, but not strong enough to beat me. And he said this on Asempa FM, the sister station of Joy FM. And then let's see what his father said in response. That's Isaac Dogbe's father said in response. So this is his father, Paul. He says that Isaac is ready to fight Game Boy at super featherweight in July. It must be winner takes all. Let's see a couple of comments before we move to our next story. Just about 3 comments briefly. Godson Turbine says, Game Boy should not be deceived by his last fight. His last fight is nothing better than inter-house boxing competition in SHS, trust me. Seth Ameduaji says, who is Tego? Is he really a boxer at all? Please, Dogbe, think of fighting a professional boxer whose bout after can enhance your fame in the profession, not a comedian. And final comment for now, Neil Ate says, this guy is biting more than he can chew. I just hope he doesn't regret it. Ghanaians will push him to a ditch if he listens to them. Game Boy is rising. Just don't rush him. So that's the comment. Also, this morning, something happened between myself and Asamoah Gyan, if we could see it briefly. I asked Asamoah Gyan on Twitter if he could confirm if he indeed had put a certain amount of money on the bout. And he said yes. Don't forget, Asamoah Gyan is the CEO of the Baby Jet Promotions, those who are behind Game Boy. And he said, this is his response. So this is his response, if we can go down. Yes, he says that, yes, he's putting $100,000 behind the Game Boy. So he's asking Game Boy's camp to put $100,000 in there, meaning that it will be $200,000 up for grabs. And just like Paul Dogbe said, Asamoah Gyan has confirmed that he wants the bout to be in July and wants it to be winner takes all. So it's on. Should be fun. Right. Final story before we move on is the Paralympic Games. There's something happening with Russia, who were banned from the Games altogether, but the committee, Olympic Committee, have upheld the ban on Russian athletes ahead of next month's Winter Games.
The ban on Russia's team competing at the Paralympics was upheld on Monday, but the International Paralympic Committee said about 30 to 35 Russians will be allowed to compete in 5 sporting codes as neutral athletes at the Games, which will run from the 8th to the 18th of March.
Because the reinstatement criteria have not been met in full, the IPC Governing Board approved the IPC Task Force's recommendation to maintain the suspension of the RPC.
This mirrors the situation for next month's Winter Olympics, with the Russian team barred, but 169 athletes are invited to compete. It will be the second Paralympics without a Russian team after the country was also excluded from Rio de Janeiro in 2016. Since then, there has been enough improvement to justify allowing Russians to compete as neutral athletes after extra drug testing, International Paralympic Committee President Andrew Parsons said on Monday. The team of neutral Paralympic athletes will be about half the size of the Russian team that competed in Sochi in 2014.
Under the Pyeongchang 2018 Paralympic Winter Games qualification guide, only unused slots, some of which have been returned by national Paralympic committees, will be redistributed to eligible neutral Paralympic athletes. Looking at the current world rankings and the number of athletes currently participating under the limited interim measure, we estimate that there will be between 30 and 35 neutral Paralympic athletes competing in Pyeongchang.
Right, still on games, and the Commonwealth Games will be happening in Australia. We've been talking about this for the past 2 months. Another country you should look out for who are likely to win a lot of medals are South Africa. They have named a formidable squad.
Tascock has named the South African team to represent the country at the 2018 Gold Coast Commonwealth Games. Team South African athletes will do battle across 16 codes, including athletics, badminton, bowls, boxing, cycling, gymnastics, hockey, netball, rugby sevens, shooting, table tennis, triathlon, weightlifting and wrestling. Other team sports will see the women's rugby sevens team, the men and women's hockey sides and the women's netballers in action, while there are also team disciplines in track, cycling and triathlon. There's pedigree aplenty with names such as Caster Semenya, Sunette Viljoen, Luva Manyonga, Akani Simbine, Chad Leclos and Cameron van der Berg amongst those selected. The swimming team includes heavyweights Chad Leclos and Cameron van der Berg and features the 2 youngest members of the team in the form of Luan Grobelaar and Dune Coetzee, both aged just 15. Athletics is in fact the biggest code in terms of numbers, with 28 featuring 23 swimmers, 3 divers and 2 para-swimmers. Cycling features 18 members and is highlighted by Ashley Moolman-Pasio and Nicholas Dlamini. Moolman-Pasio won bronze in Glasgow 4 years ago, while Dlamini is coming off an impressive showing at the Tour Down Under. Star cast in the athletics team despite the absence of Wade van Niekerk due to injury. Caster Semenya is the standout name, while there's star quality from world champion long jumper Luva Manyonga as well as London bronze medalist Rushwell Samai, sprint star Akani Simbine, 2-time Commonwealth Games medalist Sunette Viljoen and under 18 high jump world champion Brayton Poole. The last games in Glasgow 4 years ago, the team ended 7th on the table with a medal count of 40, which included 13 golds, 10 silver and 17 bronze.
Right, so in the Premier League, there are some games going on. Swansea versus Arsenal being one of them is currently 1-1 in that game. The goals came from Nacho Monreal and Lucas. Monreal scoring for Arsenal first, and then Lucas getting the second. West Ham United almost have just started the second half, and it's West Ham 1, Crystal Palace 1. Huddersfield Town versus Liverpool has seen Liverpool go ahead by a 1-0. It's the meeting of two German managers. 24 hours from now, we'll be getting ready to come to you just in 30 minutes, so that should be 24 hours and 30 minutes from now. The heavily promoted transfer countdown with myself and George Addo Jr. It will be on TV live on Joy News and then on radio on Joy FM as well. So the transfer countdown will be featuring lots of guests from around the world, and also we'll be asking you to join us via phone on Facebook, Twitter, and then we'll be selecting some of you to be calling us and talking to us via Skype as well. Trust me, it's going to be a lot of fun. First though, at 10:30 we'll be having the football show so that I can show you the highlights of Swansea versus Arsenal, and then West Ham, Crystal Palace, and Huddersfield versus Liverpool. I'm Gary Al Smith, and that's the sport for now.